I have a project here where I would like to add a river. And what are the sort of special things with the river? Well, the water flow is following the curves, of course. So I have done some research on what I think is the best and simplest way to add such a river. And the simplest way and the best way that I have found is simply to use the ocean modifier that is built in within Blender. And then you use a curve modifier to make sure that you follow the landscape here. So I will show you on how I do that. So the very first thing that you then do is, of course, that you need to add a plane. So then we do that. So let me see where the plane has landed in my outliner here. Here. And then we, as I said, the simplest best and the best way that I think is to use the ocean modifier. So I do that. So here it is, the ocean modifier. Then I have done some research on what is sort of a proper material for such an ocean. So I have that material here and I will drag it into the ocean here. And then we can start to have a look a bit on this ocean, this material and the shading of the ocean here. What we can do first is that we can look on the settings here and we can start to maybe increase the resolution viewport to 17. So if we then play a bit with the timing here, you can see that the ocean is varying. If we then go in and check the shading here, so maybe we can actually hide the landscape for a while. And then we can have a look on this ocean here. And how the node tree looks like. So let me simplify things by putting that one to 0.5, 0.5. So what we basically have here is a mix of three things. We have a mix of a principled BSDF with the blue color and a mix of something with an attribute and that is related to the ocean modifier. The attribute is foam. So if we go in here to the ocean modifier, click foam, and then we add exactly that name that is stated here, foam. Then you can see that we get foam. So if we then play with the timing here, we can see that we have quite beautiful ocean here. And the third thing that we have in our node tree is the Fresnel tree here. So if we decrease here you can sort of, if you have 0 here in the mix shader, then you get only the contribution from the principled BSDF and the attribute, the foam attribute. If we increase it to 1, you get more the Fresnel effect. So if we look on the side here, the Fresnel should be very white, which is this. So I think a mix with these three different shadings is the best. So then I put this to 0.5 or something. So that is sort of the material for the ocean. We can have a further look a bit on the settings for the ocean modifier. One thing that we need to make sure is one property of the river is that it sort of follows the curvature. And we can see here that we can repeat either on X or both. Either on X or on Y or both. So we can see here that if we push 3 here, you have scale it up on X, you can say, or the repetition will be on X. So if we then would like to have sort of a flow from left to right or right to left, the way to fix that is to go into the waves settings here, and then you have a setting called alignment. If you put that to 1, then it will be fully aligned to a certain axis. In this case, it's X. So now if we play with the timing, you can see that it goes in a certain direction, perhaps as we actually would like. So let's keep that setting, and maybe the foam here need to go up a bit. So then you can do maybe 0.1 here. Then you have a bit more foam. If you then play again, you can see that it's looking quite well. One setting that is good for my project might not be the same thing for other projects, but in these projects with my certain size of big landscape, then I find that the wind velocity actually should be more close to 5 meters per second, and maybe the scale of the waves should be a bit less. 0.6 I think is good. So now if we play with the timing here, we have what I think is a quite good water flow. So now we have fixed that. Now the next problem is that we need that this river or water flow need to follow the landscape. So how do you do that? Then the method is to simply use a curve modifier. So then I start by adding a curve, and then I use the path curve, and then I don't scale it up or anything like that. I just go into edit mode, and then I take the handles and put them where they should be. In this case, the left one should be here, and the right one should be at the right, like this. And then the origin should be at this point here. So I then make sure that I have the origin there, and that I do by pushing Shift S and choose cursor to selected. So the 3D cursor is placed here, and then I go into object mode for the curve, and then up to object, set origin to 3D cursor. So now the origin is at the exact right place for the curve modifier to work. So then the next step is to add the curve modifier to the ocean, and that is what I'm doing now. Add modifier, deform curve, and then I choose nerves paths, since that's what was the type or name of the curve that I added. So what happens then if I start to play with the curve here? First of all, I need to choose it, and then you see that the handles maybe should be moved a bit here. So if I then start to drag this one down like this, you can see that we actually get a curvature here. And if we choose the ocean and we start play with the timing here, you can see that we have the wanted water flow direction. It follows the curve. That is exactly what we want. So now the next step is that we will place the curvature correctly in the landscape. So that is what we will do now. So then I go to the top view, maybe for simplicity, and I go into the viewport shading mode. No, not viewport, but it's called solid mode. And then I choose the curve and go into edit mode, and then I start to place these ones where they should be. So maybe I can start with placing this one at the very end here. Place the handles roughly along the way here. And then, as I said, we can go into the ocean and just increase these ones so that it covers the whole river in my project. Then I go back to the curve. And then I place the different vertices here where they should be so that it follows the curvature as it should. Then I can extrude to get some more here. Extrude. Extrude. No, extrude should be. Extrude. So I go in and change these points so that it follows the curves basically. I think this looks pretty good. Then the next step is that I will choose all these points. I go to the curvature, in edit mode, choose all points, and then I decrease this one a bit so that it is a bit below the horizontal line. Maybe it needs to go down more a bit, or it's actually hard to see here. Don't know why. Maybe this is easier to see. Something like that. So if I go into top view mode, and then start playing with the ocean, with the timing here. You can see that we have a river that flows and follow the curves of the landscape. And that is exactly what we wanted, what I wanted at least. Let's have a closer look here. Playing with the timing. Looking really good. So I think this is a good method, simple method to create a river that follows the curvature of the landscape. So by that I would like to end the video here. See you.